500 years ago, near this site on the sacred river Ganges, there appeared a person whom millions consider the greatest saint and mystic India has ever known. His name is Shri Krishna Chaitanya. In early 16th century Bengal, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inaugurated a massive renaissance of bhakti, or devotion to Krishna. The new movement transformed India's social and philosophical development, and it continues to influence millions down to the present day. The 5 most prominent figures in this latter-day bhakti movement are shown here. From left to right, they are Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Gadadhar, and Sri Srivas. These personalities together are called the Panchatattva and are thus known and worshipped throughout India. We shall now take a brief glimpse into Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's miracles, theology, and social philosophy. Our information comes from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, an authentic 450 years old Bengali biography by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translated to English by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The history of Chaitanya's life begins at this holy shrine in Mayapur, a small village in West Bengal. Advaita Acharya, a staunch Vaishnava who once lived here, noted regretfully that people in general had become disinterested in spiritual life and had grown more and more infatuated with money, fame, and sensual enjoyment. Once, deep in prayer, Advaita implored Lord Krishna to come personally and deliver the people of the present materialistic age. Thus, Sri Chaitanya is an avatar of Krishna. Avatar means one who descends. In answer to Advaita's prayers, in 1486, Sri Krishna Chaitanya appeared at this place in the village of Mayapur. A small temple has been constructed here, next to a sacred neem tree similar to the one under which the child was born. His mother Sachi Devi named the child Nimai in honor of the holy tree. Inside the small temple we find a murti of the child Nimai, along with murtis of Mother Sachi and the child's father Jagannath Mishra. Both parents were Brahmins or descendants of the priestly class. It is said that as an infant, Nimai wept continually and would stop only when Mother Sachi or a nurse would cry out Hari Bol. Thus in Nimai's house there was continual utterance of Hari Bol, which foreshadowed the child's future mission. As was the custom, Sri Chaitanya married at the age of 15. He remarried that same year after the first wife, Lakshmi Devi, died of snakebite. In scholarship, the young Nimai was precocious. Once a famous scholar from Kashmir came to Nadia to take on all comers in debate. Whereas Nimai's elders excused themselves and did not come, the lad not only encountered the visitor, but soon forced him to admit defeat. Thus Nimai earned the title Pandit, or Learned One, and became one of the foremost Pandits of the time. In the arisen city of Jagannath Puri, visitors can see this murti of Ishwara Puri, a 15th century Vaishnava monk who gave Chaitanya spiritual initiation in the year 1502. From that time on, the brilliant Nimai Pandit abandoned scholarly concerns and became a fervent religious preacher. Here in Mayapur is the reconstructed house of Srivas Pandit, where Sri Chaitanya opened a nocturnal school for congregational chanting of the names of Krishna. At Srivas's house, Chaitanya danced, sang and preached, displaying all the ecstatic religious sentiments associated with devotional yoga. From all over Bengal, a host of Vaishnava preachers joined Sri Chaitanya. Among them was Nityananda Prabhu, who had just returned from extensive missionary touring. Sri Chaitanya issued the following mandate to the devotees. Go, friends, go through the streets of the town, meet every man at his door, and ask him to sing the name of Krishna and lead a holy life. One day, while thus preaching, Nityananda was attacked by 2 drunkards named Jagai and Madhai. When they struck Nityananda with a broken pot, the powerful Chaitanya Mahaprabhu suddenly appeared on the scene, ready to fight. But Nityananda intervened. You cannot kill them, he said. You have come to save the wretched sinners, so please begin with these 2. Jagai and Madhai were then converted to Vaishnavism by Sri Chaitanya's influence, much to the astonishment of the townspeople. Sri Chaitanya's increasing popularity prompted Chand Kazi, the local Muslim magistrate, to order a public ban on the chanting. In a startling act of non-violent civil disobedience, Chaitanya summoned thousands of townspeople, and the torch-carrying crowd converged on the Kazi's house. Chaitanya is depicted here preaching to the surprised Kazi, who agreed on the spot to relinquish his Muslim beliefs for Vaishnavism. The Kazi went on to become a great devotee of Chaitanya. After his conversion, hundreds of local Muslims took up the Sankirtan process. A few years later, at the age of 24, Chaitanya became a renounced monk or sannyasi. Leaving his mother and wife in the care of well-wishers, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took the Sankirtan movement to every social class and religious sect in India. As seen in the vision of a devotee, here Sri Chaitanya is portrayed as a sannyasi, head shaven and wearing a simple saffron robe. At the request of Mother Sachi, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu set up a permanent headquarters here in Jagannath Puri, a sacred Orissa city, just a few days' journey from Mayapur. Upon seeing the Murti of Krishna known as Jagannath, as well as Murtis of Jagannath's brother Balaram and sister Subhadra, Chaitanya fell unconscious in spiritual ecstasy. As a Vaishnava, Chaitanya always worshipped God in the personal form of Krishna. Here in Puri, however, were many great philosophers known as Mayavadis, who believed that God's personal form is of secondary importance. The foremost Mayavadi, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, expounded his impersonal philosophy to Sri Chaitanya for 7 days while Chaitanya said nothing. Then, with impeccable logic and arguments, Chaitanya convinced the Bhattacharya that God is a person, namely Krishna. Later, Sarvabhauma admitted, "I had become dull-headed on account of reading too many books on logic. In fact, I had become just like an iron bar. Nonetheless, Chaitanya has melted me, and therefore his influence is very great." Hundreds of impersonalists became Vaishnavas after this incident. Shown here at Puri is Sarvabhauma's room, which has become an important Hindu shrine. On the left wall is the form of Chaitanya known as Sadbhuj, or the One with 6 arms. Followers believe that Chaitanya is the Supreme God who appeared previously as Lord Krishna and Lord Ramachandra. The upper 2 arms on Sadbhuj are the green arms of Lord Rama, bearing weapons. The middle 2 arms, bluish like Krishna, hold Lord Krishna's flute, and the lower arms are the golden arms of Lord Chaitanya, holding the staff and water pot of a Vaishnava sannyasi. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita describes that Chaitanya manifested in this way to Sarvabhauma in this very room. Within a few months, Chaitanya left Puri for an extended tour of South India. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita describes many miracles performed on this tour. Here Chaitanya embraces a leper named Vasudev, who was a great devotee. It is said that when Chaitanya touched Vasudev, the leprosy completely left his body. Although social customs forbid sannyasis to talk with worldly men such as government ministers, Chaitanya sat for days with Ramananda Roy and discussed all about Krishna. Finally, Chaitanya urged Ramananda to drop everything and join the Vaishnavas in Jagannath Puri. Chaitanya spent 4 months here at Rangakshetra, India's largest temple. He also met a young boy who was later to become Gopal Bhatta Goswami, one of the famous 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. As we shall see, the 6 Goswamis are counted among Chaitanya's foremost followers. Here at Rangakshetra, we see a sacred display of Sri Chaitanya's footprints. In later years, the devotees established 108 such milestones at the original stops on Chaitanya's South Indian tour. After reaching this temple at Kanyakumari, or Cape Comorin, the southernmost point of India, Chaitanya turned back for Jagannath Puri. By the time the 2-year tour was over, the 27-year-old Chaitanya had won thousands of South Indians over from Buddhism, Jainism, and the impersonal schools to the Sankirtan movement. By this time, Chaitanya was so well known that even the king of Puri, Maharaj Prataparudra, joined the Sankirtan movement. Thousands of pilgrims give the Murti of Jagannath a ride on a colossal wooden chariot. Chaitanya performed many famous miracles during these festivals. On one occasion, the huge crowd was somehow unable to pull the chariot. Maharaj Prataparudra called for all the powerful wrestlers and elephants, but still the cart would not budge. Then Chaitanya stepped forward, put his head to the chariot, and pushed it forward without assistance. After the South Indian tour, Chaitanya travelled west to re-establish Vrindavan, the district of Krishna's birth, as a place of pilgrimage for all Vaishnavas. There, Lord Krishna had sported as a youth, but the holy places connected with Krishna's life needed excavation. It is said that while walking to Vrindavan, Chaitanya chanted and danced almost constantly and displayed miracles. This painting depicts Jharkhand forest, where tigers, elephants, monkeys and deer joined the chanting and dancing Chaitanya. In Vrindavan, Chaitanya personally discovered many of the original places of Lord Krishna's childhood activities. This beautiful temple, known as Madan Mohan, was erected 450 years ago by Chaitanya's close disciple Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana was one of the 6 Goswamis whom Chaitanya was to entrust with the mission of redeveloping Vrindavan as a holy place of pilgrimage. Chaitanya directed the 6 Goswamis not only to establish temples, but also to write voluminous works on Bhakti Yoga. The 6 Goswamis are notable instances of Chaitanya's policy of accepting disciples from any religion, caste or age group. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita describes that Rupa and Sanatana Goswami had been ministers in the Muslim government in Bengal. Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta Goswamis joined Chaitanya as youths. Raghunath Das was the son of a rich merchant, but he became so austere that he required only a few drops of buttermilk and 2 hours sleep daily for bodily maintenance. Jiva Goswami, the younger nephew of Rupa and Sanatana, wrote many famous works on Vaishnavism and is known as one of the greatest philosophers in Indian history. After establishing the preaching mission in Vrindavan, Chaitanya stopped in the holy city of Benares, shown here, to meet a powerful sect of Mayavadi sannyasis. The Mayavadis claimed that Chaitanya's dancing and chanting were a deviation from the strict vows of a sannyasi. "Why don't you quietly study as a sannyasi should?" they asked. Chaitanya replied, "I am too foolish to understand books, but I have received all benefits derived from studying by chanting the names of Krishna." Chaitanya, who of course was most learned, convinced the Mayavadis to exchange their laborious study and memorization for the exuberant bhakti process. On returning to Jagannath Puri at the age of 31, Chaitanya spent the next 18 years in the association of Ramananda Roy, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and other intimate devotees. This is the actual house where Chaitanya lived during those years. Inside is Lord Chaitanya's room, known as the Gambhira. Pilgrims are allowed to see his shoes and sannyasi water pot. One of Chaitanya's great devotees was Srila Haridas Thakur. His tomb in Jagannath Puri, shown here, remains an important Vaishnav shrine even today, 450 years after his passing. Born in a Muslim family, Haridas became known as the greatest chanter, or the Namacharya. He would chant Krishna and Hari for 20 hours daily without fail. We see Haridas converting a prostitute who had attempted to seduce him. Jealous Muslims beat Haridas at a public whipping through 21 consecutive marketplaces. Throughout the ordeal, Haridas chanted Krishna, Krishna, and he felt the vicious blows as soft caresses. In Puri, Chaitanya experienced vivid mystical visions that followers consider to be the highest expression of love of God. On some occasions, Chaitanya not only witnessed transcendental visions, but also personally entered into them. Once, while immersed in spiritual trance, Chaitanya imagined that a sand dune had become Vrindavan's Govardhan hill, where Lord Krishna once tended cows. He then had a vision of Krishna walking on the hill and ran up the dune to get a better look. Chaitanya saw Krishna surrounded by Vrindavan's milkmaids, about to enter a cave with Radha. It seemed that the milkmaids were asking Chaitanya to collect flowers for the divine couple. Just at that moment, Sri Chaitanya awoke from the trance. He greatly lamented the sudden loss of this sublime transcendental vision. Here, in Puri, we see Sri Chaitanya's beloved deity, Lord Jagannath. Chaitanya continually worshipped Jagannath until passing from this world in 1534. Back in Mayapur, Sri Chaitanya's birthplace, we see a memorial temple constructed in the late 1800s by Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur, a descendant in Chaitanya's disciplic line. Constructed in the early 20th century, this temple houses the Mayapur branch of the Gaudiya Math mission, a Chaitanya movement spread throughout India 70 years ago by Bhaktivinoda's son, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. More recently, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness has erected this new temple and guest house near Chaitanya's birth site. ISKCON, a worldwide Sankirtan organization based on the teachings of Sri Chaitanya, was founded by Shri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's disciple, and thus the most recent descendant in Sri Chaitanya's disciplic line. Devoted Vaishnavas regularly pilgrimage to Mayapur for religious festivals associated with Sri Chaitanya, their foreheads marked with a traditional Vaishnav symbol called tilak. Here, members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness chant and dance at Chaitanya's birth site. While here, other devotees in India perform congregational chanting exactly as Sri Chaitanya taught it 500 years ago. The mystic saint Chaitanya lives on as the originator of one of the most active currents of modern Hinduism, known by scholars as Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Through devotion to Krishna, Chaitanya brought about significant changes in the course of India's philosophical and social development. In addition to beautiful temples, Chaitanya's followers have enriched India's cultural dowry with a wealth of bhakti literature. For further information about the life and teachings of Lord Chaitanya, viewers are requested to read Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.